Hi angel babies, it's BB. I'm here for a VR to Candy Soul and Soil's Christmas Tree Tarot video. This was a really cute tag and I knew I wanted to do it, but the holiday season was very busy and tiring. So I'm finally getting to it today. I'm filming this on December 27th, that week between Christmas and New Year that everyone kind of exists in this fantasy non-space. Even if we're working, it doesn't feel like time is real. I really enjoy this week of the year. I think it's one of my favorites. But without further ado, let's get into the tag's prompts. So the first prompt is the Dusty Attic Deck. And I don't have an attic because I live in an apartment. But if I did have an attic, I think this would be the deck of things you would probably find in it. And that is the Vacant House Tarot. I first saw this on Krista's channel, Crochet Witch Tarot, and fell in love. This is the deluxe edition. I also kind of want to get my hands on the standard edition because it has colorful borders. But it's full of creepy, wonderful things. Should I get a little closer? Do I have any big decks? We can go a little bit. Sorry, that was kind of abrupt. So this deck is complete with spider webs, spiders, things growing everywhere, old candles, crows, a lot of cutesy, pretty things. This looks kind of Christmassy itself, right? With like this little doll in a nightgown and the star, a locket, it almost feels like the attic of a church. I don't know what kind, if that's like good. Or you know what? All of these like little like gowned, like cherubic little, I don't know, children remind me of kind of like a Christmas pageant, you know? Yeah, it comes with like cracks in the walls that is very creepy. Broken mirrors, very attic-y thing to find. It just looks dusty, you know, the finish on it looks dusty. This looks like something out of the Haunted Mansion. I love it. Oh yeah, and like, remember that the puppet show in The Sound of Music? And like the marionettes, like the marionette theater? Like I imagine if I had a beautiful home, I was gonna say in Austria or Vienna, specifically, maybe I'd have one of those and maybe I'd store it in my attic and maybe it would be kind of spooky, you know, who knows? Or old children's toys, old dresses, creepy dolls, rocking horses. Anyway, you get the picture. This one is my Dusty Attic Deck. Prompt number 2 is your Christmas tree structure deck. Now, I did take some B-roll of my Christmas tree. I'll go ahead and add it in here. Maybe I'll put a little music next to it. enjoyed my tree this year. I put baby's breath in it, and it was a really pretty and like refreshing addition. It's like whimsical and romantic at the same time. And this prompt is about which tarot structure you prefer. And for me, that would be RWS. And I'm going to show 2 decks because one of them is out of print and the other one is currently in print. So no one gets any, I don't know, to minimize FOMO, not to avoid it altogether. But my, my favorite classic RWS is the Golden Rider. It is gorgeous. I just showed this recently on a video. My favorite RWS decks are not clones, but I'm showing 2 like actual RWS, like Pamela Coleman Smith art. This is like painted over, but it's based on her art. I don't know, just to be able to show the structure I learned on, the one I use the most, and the one I really understand the most at this point in my practice. But this one is just so fun. So pretty. Love the colors. Oh, I was saying that I prefer, like my favorite kind of deck is maybe like RWS structure, but it's not based on the actual imagery of the RWS. Like it creates its own imagery and like an illustrated pip, but not this scene specifically, you know? Where I can't recognize, like I can understand the meaning, but I can't recognize it just based off of the image. Does that make sense? I can recognize the meaning, but I can't tell if that it's a carbon copy, I guess is what I mean. Okay, and then the in-print version that is my favorite is the Albano Waite Tarot. Albano. I really like the coloring of this one. Again, super bright and unconventional colors. Kind of the opposite of what I originally was drawn to. I didn't like this art, and it took me a long time to even get a tarot deck because of that. I don't know, I didn't think I was gonna be able to connect with it, and it didn't appeal to me aesthetically. I mean, like, what was I thinking? Who knows? I love this death card, it's the best. But once I did finally get an RWS, I got the borderless edition. It's very muted, and I read with it amazingly, like it was so good. But I don't know, like after some time I just realized like, oh, I'm not into the muted. I'm in, like, give me saturation, give me color, or give me death, you know? So that is the Albano Waite. My Christmas tree structure deck, kind of number 2. Prompt number 3 is the tinsel deck, the one that you get all wrapped up in and forget about the others. And that would be my Habetrot Traum Tarot. You have not seen me do a walkthrough of this yet, but I'm telling you, I'm chomping at the bit. I just had other videos as priorities. I will catch up, I promise. I don't want to say too much about this one. Hold on, it is in order. Because I want to talk about it in my walkthrough. But what I will say is that I have been watching the creation of this deck for a long time, and its completion has thrilled me so much, and it is so unique in so many ways. it's something that my collection was missing and that now I feel like cannot be replaced by anything. I think it's stunning. I think it's like endlessly interesting. Yeah, I absolutely love it. And it does make me want to just focus on this when I have other very worthy decks to be focusing on as well. But that is the Habetrot Traum Tarot. This was an independent deck, a Kickstarter. I believe there are still copies available. I will link it below if there are. Love it, love it, love it. Number 4 is the Bobble Deck, and I took the opportunity to define this in a little bit different way. So the Bobble Deck for me, well, I guess let me back up, let me rewind. The Bobble Deck, according to Candy, is the one that rolls around and comes back to you and you reach for it all the time. It was hard for me to honestly choose something with this definition because this year wasn't a great year for me and I didn't have a ton of tarot usage this year. So there wasn't really one deck that I was going back to all the time. I mean, I could look at it from like, since I started tarot, but I really wanted to focus on this year. And so what I did find though is a deck that I wanted and then didn't want and then thought I'd never get, but would just keep popping itself up online over and over again. And it took a good long time. If anyone knows how long the Ritual Tarot has been available, off and on, like when it first became available, that since then is how long it's taken me to get this. So I did finally back the marked edition on Kickstarter. I really thought I was never going to get this one, but it just kept rolling around into my psyche, And I finally gave in with, to me, I think is like the perfect edition because I did want it to be marked in some way. I did see an early like prototype of some cards with titles on them, and I loved it, but it was not what the artist really wanted to be doing, and she couldn't really figure out a way to make it work with what her ultimate vision for the deck was. So that was scrapped, and I was heartbroken because I really, really enjoyed it. But I also understand, not only is it her creation, she also like knows best. I can imagine that there were some cards that felt like you were compromising the composition and the overall impact of the image with, things that go on top of it. But I think that the backs of this are much more appealing. They appeal to me much more than the first and second edition backs. So I'm really stoked on that. I'm stoked that if I ever doubt myself on which card it is, all I have to do is look at the back of the card and know which one I'm looking at. I don't know. Hopefully I won't need to do that, but you never know. And this was the one that like if I wasn't like presented with it time and time again, I probably wouldn't have gotten. It's stunning and it did appeal to me in a lot of ways, but I just felt like not, I don't know, smart enough for it, which is so weird because I rarely have that specific feeling. Or maybe it just didn't feel, yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was so historical that it, in a way, about like civilizations and like times that like I didn't know a lot about, So anyway, I'll get back to the prompt. I haven't used this deck. I haven't used it yet. So I cannot say that I go back to it time and time again, but I can tell you that I've gone back to the idea of it time and time again. And I was patient and I followed my instincts, and I didn't get it until the right edition existed. And I am proud of myself. So that's my Bobble deck. And it also looks like a bauble, doesn't it? It's just beautiful. Prompt number 5, the Snowman Deck, the deck that melts your heart. I chose the Gentle Chaos Pocket Oracle deck by Tyler Gaka, aka Ghost Honey. I have been such a fan of, I didn't need to open it this way, I can just open it at the top, but there's like a little guidebook in here, and there was a little wooden card stand, but I keep that on my desk now. I love Tyler Gaka, aka Ghost Honey. Maybe I'll just show you like this because they're not really in any order. He had, or he still does, have a TikTok, and he was so funny and so beautiful, and I loved his relationship with his husband and his home life and his art. He writes poetry and is a painter, and all of these images really feel personal because we have this like meta relationship with the people that we follow online, you know? So we feel like we know them a little bit more than, say, like a celebrity or something. And this just feels like very sentimental and very special, and it melts my heart. Did I say what the Snowman Deck is supposed to be? It's supposed to melt your heart. Anyway, that's him. He's a little kid. He's a baby. Oh my gosh, so cute. What's the Gentle Chaos Pocket Oracle? It's like looking at someone's camera roll, you know? All right, number 6 is the Handmade Deck. And the prompt is that it feels handmade or it's special because of who made it. And for me, that's the 20th Century Tarot. If you're familiar with me and my channel, my paternal grandfather wrote the booklet for this deck. I don't know who did the art. He could have done the art. Honestly, I do not know because the artist isn't credited. It just says by Kevin G. Byrne, and Kevin G. Byrne was my grandfather. So this is, as you could imagine, super sentimental. I am a fan of black and white decks. I'm a fan of, I guess you would call a doodle deck. Is this the original doodle deck? Rose Honey Ritual, let me know. Yeah, I think it's really, really cool. And I love that it's very funky. It's kind of late mid-century. It was printed in 1970. And I just feel, I've said this before, but I just feel really like blessed and special that I get to own this. And it's something that like I didn't know that he had created or had a hand in creating until after he passed away. So it's extra special for that reason. Has that been blurry this whole time? Wow, so sorry. Yeah, it's extra special because of that. And I think I'm gonna get this candelabra tattooed. I think that would be really pretty and really like, I don't know, symbolic, right? So that is my Handmade Deck, the 20th Century Tarot. I'm sorry if my whole walkthrough of that was blurry. Prompt 7 is the Mistletoe deck. It's a deck that you love in the holiday season. And by the time this is up, I should have already posted my vintage Christmas tarot walkthrough, but how could I not, right? duh, it's meant for the holiday season, and I do love it. And this is my like holiday season aesthetic, really. Let's see. I adore it. It's giving Victorian. Some of the cards are giving like 20s or 30s. Some of the cards are giving Nutcracker or like theater vibes or Prussian, kind of Nordic or Eastern European sometimes. I love the mix and that it's kind of seamless. Ugh, I love that one. If you're interested in seeing a full walkthrough of this deck, I will link my video here. I think it's there. Yeah, there. But it's very adorbs. It's very like origins of Christmas, origins of Santa Claus. Beautiful. And that is the Vintage Christmas Tarot. Prompt 8 is the Fairylights deck, a deck that sparkles. And I chose Grandma Baby's Black Gold Lenormand 2. This is a second edition of the Black Gold Lenormand, but it looks very different from the original edition, the first edition. This shop is actually really sadly closing at the end of the year. So if you're interested in this deck or seeing the original edition, which has the same, I believe the same photos, but it has a white border and it doesn't have handwritten titles. It has like typed titles and it's really beautiful. But this is the second edition and it just, like, not only does it have gold, so I feel like it sparkles anyway, but it sparkles with like history and heart and life. This deck, I can't explain how special it feels. I think that it is incredibly extraordinary and singular, and I feel very lucky to have it. It's, you know, historic Black life in the South. And it's just magical. It's very magical. It's full of life and heritage, you know? The guidebook of this also lets you know where the image is from. And it does have a lot of Bible excerpts, if that's something that turns you off, just so you know. But if it's something that you don't mind, then that's awesome. It describes the photo and then it tells you the year and where it was retrieved from, which is really cool. And lastly, we come to our tree topper deck, and I chose the Seashell Oracle. This is something I actually got in my stocking this year. I usually put a star on top of my tree. That's my preference, but this just felt right. It felt like a special's, I guess, the word of the day. I don't know. A trinket, a token, something beautiful, something meaningful, and that's what this deck is to me. So let's get into it. This is very reminiscent of like those academic, I want to say textbook, but I don't know if that's what it was, but like they were kind of like field books, and in the same way that you would see kind of like anatomy illustration books, you would see classic, like wildlife illustration books, you know, oceanic, like seashells and shellfish, just sea life, if you will. This deck has 4 suits. I don't off the top of my head remember what they are. Let me check. So we have the seashells, the ocean, the creatures, and the sea people. And it's just gorgeous. It's funny, this says starfish, when it is not a fish, it is a sea star. It's interesting. I wonder if that was intentional or if it was just an oops situation. Oh my God, that's my favorite tulip. I don't know, this one just feels like my tree topper. And you know, I live in Southern California, born and raised. Love. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this VR. If you have reached to the end of this video, maybe, what should we comment? Comment, oh, I was gonna say an oyster, but you can't do that if you're not on your phone. Maybe comment a mouse, you know, like a little attic mouse. Thank you for joining me on this VR, and thanks for being curious. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friend. My mom's coming. I gotta go.